It's war time, and beat don't squash unless it be a homicide. It's war time, you know that it's war time. I don't know about you, but I'ma ride behind man. It's like I behind man, so I'ma die behind man. And beat don't squash unless it be a homicide.
True to his lyrics, this Baton Rouge rapper declared war on his partners when he fired multiple rounds through a closed door, murdering his ex-girlfriend while her 3 terrified children hid inside.
A crime alert: a man accused of killing his ex-girlfriend is on the run. Davion Bentley is accused of shooting Brenda Mullins at her home on Joyce Drive in Baton Rouge around 10:30 last night. After an argument, Mullins was taken to the hospital where she died. Bentley fled. He's wanted for a list of charges, including first-degree murder and home invasion. He's considered armed and dangerous.
And just months before, he had already shot at another ex-girlfriend and her kids. This is the tragic story of Davion Bentley, also known in the rap world as Juice Bentley.
Come good.
Sack up right now.
Look at that. Bag talk. Yeah, I walk in the store. Fake up, good.
Bitch, I'ma rock out with my cock out. Don't go to tripping, I'll be quick to whip that Glock out. I just bought a 223 for my lip bomb bomb. I stuffed the 60 in that bitch and took the stock out. We'll smoke that bitch, let's rock out, slang.
24-year-old Juice Bentley was on the verge of mainstream success, collaborating with Kevin Gates, when he threw it all away in the most violent crash-out imaginable. Brenda Ann Mullins, a 40-year-old mother of 3 children aged 11 through 16, had just ended her relationship with Juice Bentley. She had discovered something terrifying. Bentley had an active arrest warrant for shooting another ex-girlfriend just 2 months earlier, in July of 2020. He had literally forced his way into another woman's apartment and fired 2 shots in front of her and several children. Brenda Mullins made the intelligent decision to end things immediately, but Juice Bentley wasn't the type of man who took rejection well. Approximately 20 minutes before arriving at her home on 2944 Joyce Drive, Bentley called Mullins demanding they have a conversation. When he showed up, she opened the door just slightly, keeping the screen door closed as a barrier. He demanded entry, growing increasingly hostile. He accused her of cheating, hurling allegations through the closed door while her 3 children were inside, terrified by the escalating confrontation. Then, Brenda Mullins closed the door completely. She refused him entry. And in that moment, Juice Bentley made a choice that would end her life. Within seconds, multiple gunshots from a 9mm handgun tore through the metal screen door, through the wooden front door, and into the home where Brenda Mullins stood with her children nearby. During the chaos, one of Brenda Mullins' sons grabbed his brother's AK-47 rifle. The defense tried to argue that someone inside had been shooting as well, but 2 7.62 by 39mm shell casings, consistent with an AK-47, were found in the backyard of the residence, not inside the home. The casings in the back indicated that Mullins' son had exited through the back door and fired shots outside, away from his mother. The autopsy delivered the most damning evidence. Dr. Ann Van Vo found that a single bullet had entered Mullins' right arm, passed through, then re-entered her body through her right chest, traveling through her liver, her right lung, and her heart before exiting through her left chest. Dr. Van Vo determined that before this bullet struck Mullins' body, it had already traveled through another object, specifically noting that it had passed through something like a door. The bullet that killed Brenda Mullins had passed through a door. And Dr. Van Vo stated that the wound characteristics were far more consistent with a handgun round rather than a rifle round, explaining that a rifle bullet would have caused more severe damage. The bullet came from a 9mm handgun, fired from outside, passing through the door, not from an AK-47, not from inside the house, from Juice Bentley's handgun, fired in rage after she refused to let him inside. One of the children who witnessed the shooting testified that he saw Juice Bentley with a gun on his side when Bentley first approached the door. He arrived armed with a loaded 9mm handgun. This wasn't spontaneous. This was premeditated intent. And when Brenda Mullins wouldn't comply, he made the decision to end her life while her children were feet away. To understand how Juice Bentley arrived at that moment on Joyce Drive, we need to examine the career trajectory of a rapper on the verge of breaking through, only to throw it all away in the most violent way possible. Juice Bentley's music wasn't just entertainment. It was a blueprint for the violence he would eventually commit.
Man, look, Juice Bentley, man. Baton Rouge, Louisiana, man. If you ain't never been there, you just go there. I ain't gotta say no more.
Davion D.O.B. Bentley, born around 1996, emerged from Baton Rouge's violent rap scene around 2009, initially performing under the name Lil Juice. Baton Rouge produced NBA Youngboy, Fredo Bang, and Boosie Badass, a place where street credibility isn't just image, it's often life and death. Juice Bentley fit that mold, creating music glorifying gun violence and a lifestyle where respect was earned through fear. His breakout hit, Mama I'm Sorry, featuring Lil Josh, went viral with over 1 million YouTube views. The song blended street tales of regret and hustling, showing vulnerability. But as his career progressed, that vulnerability gave way to aggression. He released tracks like Facts, Facts 2, Wartime, Homicide, and Who, each packed with gun-heavy lyrics and threats towards rivals.
It's wartime, you know that it's wartime. I don't know about you, but I'm a ride behind man. It's like I'm behind man, so I'ma die behind man. And beat those squash unless it be a homicide. It's wartime, you know that it's wartime.
Beef don't squash unless it be a homicide. That wasn't just a hook, that was a philosophy. On September 16th, 2020, he would make those lyrics horrifying reality. His track Homicide eerily foreshadowed the violence he would commit. He had achieved legitimate buzz, securing a feature on Kevin Gates' remix of You Don't Want My Problems, which significantly boosted his profile. Kevin Gates is a major Southern hip-hop figure, and that cosign meant industry connections, potential record deals, and a pathway to legitimate success. His tracks were pulling 10,000 to 100,000 views regularly.
Mom, I'm Sorry. My first record, that bitch went viral. 500,000 views in damn near like 2 months.
You can hear the pride as he discusses his viral success. He's talking about building something, creating a legacy. But all of that potential was about to be destroyed by his own violent actions. While building his rap career, he was simultaneously cultivating a pattern of behavior that would eventually consume everything he had worked for. The city was experiencing an epidemic of violence involving rappers, with numerous murders connected to ongoing street beefs. Artists like G Money and Boulevard Quick had been murdered, creating an atmosphere where violence was almost expected. But this wasn't gang-related violence. This was purely domestic violence taken to its most extreme conclusion.
You know, I don't know if dude was trying to salute me or what he was trying to say was him or what the case was. Fuck that. Y'all tag Kodak, tag his DJ and everybody else. Tell that nigga mention me on the picture, delete my shit off his page, point blank.
This clip reveals Bentley's personality. He was obsessed with respect and recognition. The incident involved Kodak Black allegedly using his image without acknowledgement, and Bentley demanded recognition or removal. "I'm going to die behind my respect," he says, a tragic prophecy. This obsession with respect and control would become the driving force behind his violence toward women.
We really
caught a crazy bug.
Yeah, we really jumped off hard like in 2011. Me and Pew really just took off hard as a bitch. Like, he was already doing this shit.
The CTBs and all that shit. He said that because he was mad about some shit. We caught him in Sherwood and chased him one time. We wasn't even with no guns or nothing. We had some belts. But dude, I never kick a nigga while they down. So free dude or whatever. It's just like when dude dropped that song though,
it was up.
I was in jail.
He had clashed with other artists, including Kodak Black over sampling and respect, and internal conflicts with his former producer Moolah Pooh, later known as Teflon Muller. These public disses were documented in tracks like Facts and Facts 2, where Bentley made threats that should have been taken more seriously. But his professional beefs were nothing compared to the violence he was inflicting on women. That July 2020 incident involved Bentley forcing entry into an unnamed ex-girlfriend's apartment, firing 2 shots in front of her and several children. No one was physically injured, but charges filed reflected the severity: home invasion, illegal use of a weapon, felon in possession of a firearm, and criminal damage. Bentley fled, and a warrant was issued, remaining active for 2 months while he continued dating Brenda Mullins as though consequences would never catch up. Social media reaction revealed how his community viewed this behavior, with many using "crash out" to describe his actions. But this was more than a crash out. After firing those fatal shots, Juice Bentley fled immediately, while Brenda Mullins lay dying and her traumatized children called 911. She was rushed to the hospital but died from her wounds shortly after, leaving 3 children without a mother. Bentley wasn't sticking around to face consequences. Over the next 3.5 weeks, Juice Bentley evaded law enforcement by traveling approximately 1,000 miles from Baton Rouge to Denver, Colorado. For nearly a month, while Brenda Mullins' family was planning her funeral and her children were processing trauma, Bentley was on the run, likely believing he could escape consequences. But on October 12, 2020, law enforcement located and arrested him in Denver. He was extradited back to Louisiana and formally charged with first-degree murder in connection with Brenda Mullins' death, as well as attempted first-degree murder charges likely connected to the July shooting of his other ex-girlfriend. Additional weapons charges were filed given his felon status. The prosecution was building an airtight case, and with the forensic evidence, there was virtually no pathway to acquittal. The trial wouldn't take place until April of 2023, nearly 3 years after the murder. When it began in the 19th Judicial District Court, it lasted just 5 days, reflecting how overwhelming the evidence was. The prosecution presented forensic analysis, witness testimony from the children, ballistics reports, autopsy findings, and crime scene documentation. The defense attempted to create doubt by suggesting someone inside the home had shot Brenda Mullins, pointing to her son firing an AK-47. But that theory was destroyed by physical evidence. The jury heard from Detective Joshua Brogan, who explained bullet trajectories indicating outside to inside travel. They heard from Corporal Julius Raymond, who testified no shell casings were found inside. They heard from Dr. Anne Van Vo, who explained how the bullet passed through a door before entering Mullins' body. And they heard from one of the children who witnessed the shooting, who testified that they saw Juice Bentley with a gun and that shots came from outside. After deliberating, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on second-degree murder. He was originally charged with first-degree murder, but convicted of second-degree. First degree requires proof of premeditation, meaning the prosecution would need to demonstrate Bentley had planned to kill Mullins before arriving. Second degree requires proof of intent, but not premeditation. The jury believed Bentley intended to kill Mullins when he fired, but weren't convinced beyond doubt he'd planned the murder beforehand. On August 9, 2023, Judge William Horden sentenced Davion Dobie Bentley to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Bentley, 24 at the time of murder and 27 at sentencing, would spend the rest of his life behind bars, presumably at Louisiana State Penitentiary, Angola. But Bentley's defense team wasn't ready to accept this. They filed an appeal arguing the evidence was insufficient, claiming the jury had made an error in finding him guilty beyond reasonable doubt. The appeal process took over a year, with legal briefs and oral arguments. On November 13, 2024, just months before this recording, the Louisiana First Circuit Court of Appeal issued their ruling. Appeal denied, conviction affirmed. The appellate judges reviewed every aspect, examining forensic evidence, witness testimony from the children, ballistics reports, autopsy findings, and crime scene documentation. They used language leaving no ambiguity about how they viewed the evidence. They described it as overwhelming, noting physical evidence, forensic analysis, and eyewitness accounts all pointed inescapably to Juice Bentley as Brenda Mullins' murderer. The court found no errors in trial proceedings, no prosecution misconduct, no improper jury instructions, and no reason to overturn the conviction or sentence. As of November 2024, Juice Bentley's legal options are essentially exhausted. He could attempt additional appeals or habeas corpus petitions, but given how thoroughly the appellate court rejected his arguments, future legal challenges would likely fail. The reality is, Juice Bentley will spend the rest of his life in prison, dying behind bars for a crime that was entirely preventable and utterly senseless. This brings us to broader implications. The Baton Rouge rap scene during the 2020s has been plagued by an epidemic of violence, with dozens of rappers murdered and ongoing street conflicts. Artists like G-Money and Boulevard Quick lost their lives, creating a culture where death seems inevitable. But Juice Bentley's case stands out as purely domestic violence taken to its most extreme conclusion, making it particularly disturbing and preventable. The term crash out has become common in hip-hop culture to describe irrational, self-destructive decisions motivated by extreme emotion. Juice Bentley's case has become an archetype for this phenomenon, with his story referenced repeatedly in discussions about rappers who threw away careers and freedom through violence. The irony of his lyrics has not been lost. Beef don't squash unless it be a homicide. Those words became a literal prediction of his downfall. Wartime and its accompanying music video featuring dozens holding firearms now exists as evidence of the violent mentality that destroyed not just Bentley's life, but Brenda Mullins and her children's sense of security. His music has largely been scrubbed or exists only as an example. The YouTube views that once represented success now serve as documentation of a man broadcasting his capacity for violence before committing murder. While some might argue his music was simply artistic expression, Bentley lived exactly as his lyrics suggested, and he killed exactly as his lyrics suggested. Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.